I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Lake Lure Marine Commission this Tuesday, June 12, 2018. I would ask all those of us in the audience and the commissioners to please stand for invocation and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings you've bestowed on our community. As we gather here in public service to our town and its citizens, we ask for your divine guidance and wisdom to help us govern effectively, to do what serves the greater good and best interests of our citizens, and to be good stewards and guardians of this beautiful place we call home. In your name we humbly ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we'll begin this meeting with the approval of the agenda. And I would ask the commissioners, are there any recommended changes, additions, deletions to the agenda?
Yes, sir. We need to delete item 7E.
7E.
That's on the, in doing some research, there is an existing policy that was out there that the LAB did not have before them when they did their discussion on this issue. And Dean talked to me about it and asked that we delay that to the next Marine Commission meeting and let the LAB look at it again.
All right.
And come back with an actual policy prepared.
Okay, very good. One last item. Anybody else? If not, I entertain a motion to accept the agenda as modified.
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Cameron makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Weber makes the second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us into the public forum. Ron, could you just check that and see if there's anybody there? Appreciate it. All right, thank you. We have two members of the public who have signed up to make comment, so we'll take them in the order they signed up. First one is Steve Creek. Steve, come on up, please, to the podium, and again, you can repeat your name and your address, and then please give us your comments. And I would just ask, we don't have many, so we will give you the full 5-minute allocations tonight.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So my name is Steve Crete. I'm 128 Bent Creek Boulevard, Unit 20. And so when I came recently, last Monday, to the Lake Lure advisory meeting, I talked about how my desire was to be able to have a recreational permit, and I'm not allowed to do that. I can have a commercial, but I can't have a rec, or vice versa. It's kind of one or the other, but you can't have two of the permits. And so I expressed my desire to want to be able to solve that, because I said, you know, I don't think that I'm really the reason why they have this thing, because I have a $33,000 boat. I have a family that loves to go tubing, you know, and we just get a lot of joy and happiness from being able to do that. So this is the first year that I haven't been able to do it, even though it had been written in before. This was the first year I haven't been able to have two of the permits. And I also expressed how my son's birthday was coming up and he was having his friends to do the tubing and so forth. So it was basically turned down at the meeting. And so I come up with an alternate solution that I wanted to be able to share today and see what you think about that. And also I just kind of want to mention, you know, in the meantime, what ended up happening is we found out about Lake James. And so we, on the day of his birthday with his friends, we took the boat out of the Rumbling Ball Marina and I put it on the trailer and we drove the hour to Lake James and we tubed for the day at Lake James. And then we came back and put it into the Rumbling Ball Marina. You know, one other option that was kind of given was, well, buy a second boat. You know, have two boats then, and then you can have two boats on the lake. For me, that's something I can't very much afford. Very well. If I was to get a really old boat, I might be able to do it. I feel like having two boats is something that would be more efficient and, you know, take up less space on the lake and everything else. looking into that a little further, I've come to find that if I was to get a second boat, Rum & Bald has quite a waiting list of years and years and years to be able to get it. It would be about 4 years before I could get another boat onto Rum & Bald. Plus, I live right next to it. I mean, I'm just a couple minutes away, so I'd have to, if I was to get one at the Washburn meeting, I'd have to drive 30 minutes around the lake every time to be able to use an old inferior boat that's not as good as my beautiful boat. That's a deck boat that's great for fishing, great for tubing, great for everything. And so, you know, that wouldn't work real well. You know, as a fishing guide, every day I'm out there and I see all these people having a great time. They're tubing and they're skiing. I see Lake Lure Adventure Company taking people out. I see people with their own boats taking them out with their recreational permits, and they're having a great time. And it seems a shame to me that I'm not able to do that. You know, especially when I have such a nice boat that I could be able to do that, and I'm only asking to be able to do it like 6 to 10 times a year, just to be able to have a lot of fun with my family out there. I'm a great captain. I'm great at driving a boat. I've been doing it since I was 16, 17 years old. And so, you know, I would be very good with that. You know, I think to an analogy, you know, if I was a waiter or waitress in a restaurant and I was to be serving delicious food all day and watching everybody enjoy this food, I would be able to have lunch at the restaurant. I would be able to have dinner at the restaurant. That's generally how it's done. You can be able to eat and enjoy it. But here, as a fishing guide on the lake, I'm not able to enjoy the lake. I watch everybody else do it, but then I can only do a business. But if I can't do the enjoyment, even though like most other businesses and most other things in the world, you can partake in enjoying the company, enjoying their activities, and enjoying their things. You know, if you're somebody who's working with them. I feel like I bring in a lot of money to the community. I'm bringing lots of people in from Asheville. They're coming in, they're staying the night at the hotels. I'm pretty successful with it, and I'm doing well, and I'm highly rated and everything else. And you know, I feel like as a business, I feel like I shouldn't have something that then hurts me because I'm doing a business at Lake Lure. I feel like if nothing else, it almost should be the opposite. Like, hey, you know, thank you for all the hard work that you're doing with us, being a great advocate for the community and everything. And, you know, let's let you tube 6 or 10 times a year on the lake. It was mentioned that on the last meeting that if I was to do it, then lots of other people would want to have dual licenses, and it'd be a huge onslaught of people wanting permits and trying to be able to do that. But the fact is, they have to get past Dean. Dean has to put them on the model in order to do that, and then they have to get past you guys, because the Marine Commission has to be able to approve anybody who's going to be, you know, having a commercial permit on the lake. So it's not going to be very easy to do that, I don't believe. I mean, I think it would be, it's difficult. You have to go through the different steps. And so I feel like my case is kind of special, kind of a little bit different. And, you know, I don't think that as I said last time, I don't think that anybody is trying to purposely hurt me. I don't think this rule was made for me. I think I'm an unintended side effect of it, that here's this family guy with his family that just wants to tube and has a boat that's beautiful for it, and so on. So my solution is to put me on the model as also being able to do tubing. I will never do the tubing. I have no interest in taking people out on the tubing. I will simply cross-link. If I'll put tubing on there, it'll go straight to Lake Lure Adventure Company when somebody clicks on it, and you know, more business for them. And actually, during the year, I get asked all the time by people, because I'm doing, you know, 50 to 70 trips a year. What are some other things to do at Lake Lure? I'm always saying, go to Lake Lure Adventure Company. I tell them about the zip line. I'm telling them about all the different other activities anyways. And I'm telling them about the different hotels and so forth. So
could you kind of bring this to a conclusion here? You're
yes.
Well over your 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. just right there. Okay, so that is my proposed solution. Is I asked to just put me on the model for the tubing. Okay. And then you know, but I'm not going to be any threat to Lake Lure Adventure Company. I'm not going to do. I have no interest in taking people tubing. I'm a fishing guide. That's what I want to do. Put me on there. When I take my family tubing, and just simply be us practicing the tubing for the business, which then cross-links and goes straight to somebody else anyway. It fits within the rules of everything that you have there. Makes me happy. Makes you guys happy. Solves the problem.
Steve,
believe.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you rent your boat out, or do you just take
No.
people? All right. Was my understanding initially, some of y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason for not allowing people to pull their family behind a boat that was rented was because that we didn't have a way to monitor it. And we didn't know if, we didn't want people who maybe weren't experienced in boats and just came up for the weekend and rented a boat with a vacation rental to be out towing people. Thought our lake was too small for that. But there was never any concern that I remember for people who owned their boat and who lived here in Lake Lure. And I didn't really, I remember when it came up with the real estate agents who were using their boats to, to show houses, and then at first they couldn't pull people tubing, that we changed that. I think we just took them off altogether. Is that right, Dean? They're not required to have a commercial permit anymore.
There's not even a real estate permit.
That's not even there.
Correct.
So it seems to me that the problem that was trying to be addressed with not allowing towing by commercial boats is not part of this. Am I wrong?
No, I
no.
just, I want to see what the Lake Advisory's opinion, what
Yeah.
their thoughts on.
What was, how was the
I mean,
discussion?
the discussion with Steve was about dual permit.
He was one of the people that got the dual permit
Right.
from
I
the
see,
previous
I
town
see,
manager.
which we knew nothing about at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was discovered this year, when we said no more of that, when he
Right.
came to get his
It caught-
permit, for the towing,
Right.
Linda told him that he couldn't have that anymore,
Yeah,
which
and, you know,
she was supposed to do.
And it was actually, he was authorized to have it unofficially. It wasn't in the regulation. LAB was tasked to discuss it last year, and they did and recommended. And then we had the one case from the lodge on Lake Lure that asked, and we authorized that on a temporary basis while they were looking at the subject. And the official recommendation came back to not allow dual permitting. Now, one of the things in the lake use regulations tonight is adding the resort class of commercial boats to that paragraph that says resort, livery, service, tour boat, and fishing, commercial classification, cannot tow and conduct, the water sports are expressly prohibited. It's always been for those other classes. We took realtors out altogether out of the reg,
Right.
so it's no longer there. But resort class boats were never in there, which was an error, and now it's being added. And we're also adding the statement dual permitting is prohibited, based on the most recent recommendation, if I'm correct. And you're asking for a special exception just for you, for your commercially classified fishing boat to be allowed to have a dual permit, but you're saying not allow it for others?
Not
Is that?
I'm saying at this point, because it was not allowed to do recreational and commercial, I'm saying allow me to do tubing from commercial. I'll just have commercial. I won't do the dual permit then. I'll just do commercial.
Yeah.
Put me on the model as tubing as another thing that I do, even though it's going to just link right over to Lake Lure Adventure Company.
If I
is what would
understand
happen.
correctly, you don't care how it's handled, as long as you can be a
just
fishing
wanna
guide.
I just wanna go out with my family.
And tow your kids.
Which is allowing
Yeah.
your boat to do that and you to do that, but still we're not allowing others.
No, I think we would allow all of it. If you allow
Fishing
one, you
guides.
allow everybody. Yeah,
So-
but we got, how many
so
fishing
all-
guides?
Fishing guys?
Well, that's what we need to look at. Do we need to include the fishing guides in this commercial restriction? That, to me, is a question. The other commercial uses we've already established that they should not tow. Do we or do we not include the fishing classification?
Right, that's the way to look at it.
That to me is special treatment.
Well, only if it's left on that line.
Yeah, the distinction is the guy who lives here on the lake and who has his fishing boat and his fishing business here knows the lake as well, and they're probably better than most people.
Well,
Which was the reason why we were not allowing it in the first place for boats with vacation rentals.
yeah,
Right, stop me if I get off track, Mark, if I miss something.
Okay.
Huh? Yeah, I mean, that's,
Yeah, I think that's
You
fine. I
follow
mean,
me?
there's several things. I mean, the big thing from my board is that whatever happens needs to be across the board.
exactly.
I agree with Steve. We're not coming after Steve. He's,
Mhm.
but another one of our discussions is if we allow dual permits, another thing we were worried about is you got two marinas full of boats that don't get used a whole lot. If you allow dual permits, you might have a lot of people saying, hey, I've got a residential permit, but why don't I rent my boat when I'm not using it? And have other people looking for dual permits to be able to do that. We've already declined the lodge aspect.
I'm not saying a dual permit, I'm saying
That
that, yeah, you got, it's a
classification.
different classification of commercial. You got commercial that is renting as livery to, I got them, you got them. That, you rent your boat out, people come up here, for a week or a day or a few hours, and they go out and they don't know the lake, and it's better for them not to be towing somebody, and I'm good with that, I understand that. But the reason initially that to not have towing behind those was those very reasons. People didn't know the lake, and the lake is busy enough, and,
yeah, we're
but,
not sure how, if they know how to operate a boat, was
Yeah.
one of our biggest concerns.
yeah, if somebody who, what I'm saying is, is that we not do dual permitting, but that we do make a distinction between livery and, fishing, which really already exists.
Right.
But that fishing is allowed to tow their family only. You know, family, you know, kids, nieces, nephews, you know, somebody that's there staying with you, your folks, not anybody that's paying.
And how do you enforce it? That was another side of the discussion.
You don't know how you enforce
Was
anything,
enforcement.
you know.
You
Well,
had
how do you know
you had
that
my
he's on-
word.
No, how do you know he's only a fishing guide out
Well,
here?
one thing you do, you look at,
First of all, are all fishing guides in the model residents? Do they all live here locally? Do we have any fishing guides that are from out of town? How do we know that the fishing guide, or that boat that's in the fishing class is towing only his family? How do we know that? How do you enforce that? That was all part of that discussion and that kind of stuff before.
And Steve never lied to me before.
I'm not.
No, I see the dilemma, but.
Yeah, I mean, so should we send this back to the LAB again from that perspective and look at it that way? Should we?
One thing I'm looking at too is a decal could have an F on it instead of a X, which would indicate fishing, or
Yeah.
a different type of distinction on the permit, on the boat permit, put like, you know, CMF,
Yeah.
and that way you know it's a commercial fishing boat or something like that.
Do we have
But-
that already, Dean? I know we have some distinctions with the different types of commercial. Does he, if it's somebody, like his boat, what kind of sticker does he have? Did it say C?
He would have an F on the side of his boat,
An F?
Now he does,
So it's already his.
now he does.
yes.
Is
His
it
is already
C,
distinguished as fishing.
what's it distinguished?
CM with an F,
CMF, it's
So
already
we-
on there.
motorized F, or
So it's already distinguished.
if I'm mistaken, it has an X on the end of that.
CMX.
Not F. Right, that's what I mean, get rid of the X on the sticker and go to a F.
Is that the only one that has CMX, is the fishing guides?
No, that's all your other commercial boats.
Except for the ski and tow.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, you just need a different designation.
Over
What he
here,
wants is a
theirs is
CM.
just CM, they don't have an X behind theirs because they can tow.
Right. Right, that's what I'm saying, so you just put an F on the next decal, get 10 of them or 20, whatever you need for the season, and those few boats. It's like anything else, I mean, any of us that tow out there can tow anybody we want, whether they're family or not, so,
Yeah.
you know, if you get curious, you stop them, say, hey, these family members or not, but you're not talking about a large quantity, but these were professional people with boats all the time. My whole understanding is that we've always been concerned about the people coming to town that don't have boating experience. Is that wrong or right, Mark?
And that's, yeah.
I mean, that's a real issue for not allowing the renters to tow. we just don't know them, so we've X'd them out from towing. So here we've got a case of, if you operate a fishing boat, you're driving it at least twice, 3 times a day, or half dozen times a week.
My next question would be, next month, if we have somebody that owns a rental house and they have a commercial delivery boat for their rental house, and they come up and ask, well, I should be able to pull my family if I'm driving. It's the same situation. I mean, that's one of the dilemmas that we run into, is how do you enforce that? If we move away from, we're all thinking about, Steve has a boat that looks like a fishing boat, he looks like a fishing guy, and he's pulling his kids. But the next step to that is a livery pontoon. Pontoon that has a commercial sticker in it.
It's,
That's where pull their kids. I mean, it's the same argument, just a different type of boat.
I agree.
So that's one of the enforcement issue of being able to enforce, and the fairness and.
Wouldn't then the livery boat, wouldn't that be the reason that we would not allow that? Because it would be unenforceable? There's no way to identify the boat being used for a rental property versus an owner using it. And therefore, because that's not enforceable, we can't grant you the same privilege we've just granted to the fishermen.
Yeah.
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 How many fishing boats do we have, Dean?
I believe there's 4.
4. You pretty much know all of them? I think I do.
Yeah, I believe I do.
Yeah.
One of them, I'm not so.
Do you see there being a problem making a distinction between the fishing boats and the livery boats?
It would look like a bass fishing boat. If he's
You see the sticker on the side.
boat, you can tell it could be, it's.
I agree with the concept of people coming in, being new to the lake and so forth, not being allowed to tow. I've got a boat that I rent with my house, and I don't want anybody towing with it, and it's convenient for me to be able to say, well, the town doesn't allow it. It's not my rules, their rules. And they also, refer them around to Mark, who gives them a much better tow than they would get with a little, pontoon anyway. So I would hope that there would be a way we could make a distinction.
You had dual permits last year,
I have. I've had for the last 3 previous years. I did.
so you've had dual permits for 3 years.
You guys don't even know I'm out there because I get
we
no
didn't
trouble
know
with
permits
traffic.
were out there.
Well, all I'm saying is now we've had somebody who was permitted, who did everything by the book,
Yeah.
and now we're removing that privilege.
We didn't grant the privilege to begin with, though. Town manager did that on his own without permission.
I understand, but it doesn't matter that we're still all in one boat. If one of us does it, we're all guilty. We're a team.
Yeah. I wouldn't hang my hat on that. I mean, if somebody did something wrong, they did something wrong. But
Still.
I'm looking at it from a standpoint of why the restriction was put there initially, and the the enforcing's on us. We can't make a rule or say we can't have this rule because it's going to be difficult to enforce. That's on us. There are a lot of things out there that are difficult to enforce. Probably a lot of things a lot more difficult than this. But for me, I think we should, either allow the fishing guides to be able to tow, but not, they have to, the owner of the boat or the owner or his spouse, the people who are on title of the boat need to be, could tow their family, but, and leave the others like they are. But that's my opinion.
Well, here's
Listen to everybody else.
here's my recommendation. Let's send it back to the Lake Advisory Board. That's what they're for. In the
Yeah.
meantime, we allow Steve to have his permit for this year. And and let the board do their work. He's already had one for 3 years. Why are we gonna penalize him now when we have an issue on this end that needs to be worked out?
Well,
Any of the other?
you said dual permit, and again,
Well, like, we keep talking about permits. I mean, I think what Bob's talking about is, hey, he's had a dual permit for 3 years now. He's got one now.
Right?
You're either gonna take it away from him.
I had to rip it off though this year.
oh,
Hold on,
how did he get
before you
one
for a
this year?
second, I'm sorry. If you know, I mean, I think what you're talking about is, hey, let's just let him have his dual
Right.
permits now.
Right?
He doesn't lose any of his activity that he's talking about, ship it back to us, and I
Right.
think I have a feeling.
Put it back
what
in
you
your
guys
lap.
like,
Right.
what you're, and
But-
Do any of the other fishing boats, have they been getting dual permits, Dean? Or just, so this is the only one? Yeah, cause thinking some of the other fishing guides, they're not gonna wanna do that anyway. The ones that I know.
that would be my.
All right, so,
I have a question. You already bought a dual permit for this year?
I did, and Linda actually asked me on the way into the meeting today to give me a reimbursement check, so I actually have that in my pocket,
Right.
not cashed.
Right. So we're not, apples and oranges. Either we're talking allowing fishing boat to tow and take them out of that section, or we're talking allowing a dual permitting, which contradicts what we're supposed to enact tonight,
Right.
which is, I agree with sending it back to the LAB for discussion
Right.
under the new proposal,
Right.
but I don't agree with granting it at this point in time, temporary or otherwise. I don't agree with that. So
I
if
just,
the motion goes down to that, then I would have to vote no. If it's only to send it back for discussion, I would vote yes.
I'm sorry,
And that's nothing against you. It's the fairness of the rule for everybody versus exceptions.
but also in the fairness of ours, we're in the 6th month of the year. And so it's been okay for 6 months, and halfway through the season, you're gonna remove
But
it.
it hasn't been okay.
It's
We
been
only
allowed.
authorized one last year.
Right.
And that was temporary, so it hasn't been okay.
The permits have been issued. That's my thing, and we're halfway through the year. We don't have that much more of the year to go, we're halfway there.
all right, so does somebody want to
I'll make
offer a
the
motion
I'll-
one way or the other, and then
I'll-
we'll move
well,
on,
I'll
let's
make-
get this
I'll make
voted
the
on?
motion.
Yeah,
I'll make the motion that we take this and send it back to the Lake Advisory Board for their consideration and recommendation, knowing what the discussion's been, and that we allow Steve to have his permit for the remainder of this year until we can get our decision clarified on how we're going to go from here forward.
Well, which is it, remainder of the year or until they meet again and we meet again in September?
Remainder of the year, because he's halfway through the year already. It's
I'll
only
second
6 months.
all right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Cameron, second by Commissioner Moore. Further discussion? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
Okay.
And no, because of the exception to the rule for the dual permitting. So I agree with sending it back to the board.
All right, so noted. All right, thank you. Well, let's, thank you very much, Steve.
He's passed, right?
Yep,
Yep,
Do I,
you're good.
so I go
Give
see
Linda
go
Linda?
see
that
Linda
check.
about the check.
Just
and-
let,
yeah.
just let Steve have the check and then we'll get everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, give her a check back.
All right, now, there's another fella here, I don't know if he's here, Mark Helms, is he here somewhere?
We have enough time for my stuff.
Yeah, all right.
Well, we'll make time.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes, though.
Yeah, this is public forum.
I'm gonna give it to you in 1 minute, I think.
Permit.
Mark Helms, 232 Firefly Cove. At our lake advisory meeting on Monday, we talked about lake cleanup, and we talked about lots of things, and we got to a point where we had a little brain session about solutions, and Dean brought up that he had priced out years ago some sort of trash boom that could go in the river somewhere, that would catch a large percentage of what's out in the lake. We didn't vote on it or anything like that, but I'm just here to tell you, just while everybody's together, that everybody on my board was all for that solution if it's possible. I think Dean said when he priced it last time, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $25,000 to $30,000. There's issues about where you put it. There's issues how to put it in the ground. Part of it, the left side will be on town property, but over there's other people's property. So there's all kinds of issues. But Dean said he would, well, Mr. Kilby said, Dean, work up a plan and see what it costs and come to us. So that's in the works, but I will tell you that everybody on my board was happy about it.
Could we not move it further up towards the spoils pits? Put it at that location versus at the mouth where it goes into the lake?
Possibly. I'm sure you don't want to talk about the details right now, but.
And also, while you're looking at that, what I'd like to recommend, would be also to get 100 to 100-foot net that we could drag between two boats to do the littler stuff out in the lake. We used to do that with John Cloud. He'd take two speedboats out there and put a net between them and pick up all this little stuff.
Yep.
It's got a little finer netting on it. So also, while we're looking to budget for something, that would be another thing.
Part of that problem is with pulling a net, is we don't have boats with enough horsepower to pull it. I think Mark found that out with some of his boats. He ended up having to go get his big 300-something horsepower boats to make this boom move.
Right, well, we can use that, maybe even use a fire boat. I mean, we got volunteers that we could ask to help
We could look
out.
at it, but I'll tell you, the last week and a half, I've spent time on bent props and 4 overheats and all. I mean, if we could keep all the stuff out of as much of it out, it would be wonderful.
I'm all for it. That's why I'm saying the small debris. It wouldn't be the big
Right.
logs
Right.
if we had this in
We
place.
could-
But it'd pick up some of the things that are around the dam and
Right.
small stuff, not the.
Mark, if y'all just need one more thing to discuss in there.
Yeah.
It would make sense for, some of these boats like yours and even mine and Bob's have a good bit of horsepower.
Oh, yeah.
And, that would pull those. If there was a policy in place that, we don't want to go buy more boats just to do that. But
yeah.
if we had a policy in place that if somebody wants to volunteer their boat to go out there and do that and they get trash in there, the town picks up the tab for getting the trash out and fixing the bent prop or the trash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem. I'll donate mine anytime we need
I'd be
it.
happy to do it with mine.
Oh, you drive over there on this.
I'm surprised at the dollar figure. You said 30,000? The last I heard was we were talking streamside systems, which was over $1 million.
Well,
I remember that conversation.
Streamside Systems collected the sediment coming in.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
the debris.
Okay, okay.
And what this is just a barrier that would go across the river.
Right.
And as the debris washes in, this barrier would start piling that debris up in the river opposed to letting it flow
Right.
out through the lake.
And we would have to have somebody there cleaning it out as it piles up so it doesn't break it and push through with the weight. I understand our current boom is broken.
Well, the current boom is not designed to hold debris.
Right.
The debris boom that I'm looking at, it's got a lot of data backing it up that it is strong enough to hold the sediment.
I wonder how much.
Did you tell me, Dean, that it held 2 miles back on the Colorado River?
Yes. Full of debris, of logs and trees and stuff. I mean, and they also use this same type of boom in Homeland Security for protecting dams. That where boats wide open can hit these booms and it'll just destroy the boat. So it's a strong.
Well, go buy us a sample and bring it to us.
Well, I'm putting all of it back together again, to bring to the LAB to let them see, and I'll show documentation of where these things are used and that they're extremely strong systems.
I'm all for that. I mean, if we could do something like that, I'm all for it, but we want to make sure it's not something going to break the first, like this storm.
He's already researched all that.
It's not the amount of material, but it's also the force that's hitting it. And the stuff that was coming down that river is pretty daggum strong with the water behind it. So you might have 2 miles of stuff piled up from a slow moving stream or something. That's a lot different than something that's fast raging, fast moving. So, but I agree. Yeah, go back and discuss it.
All right.
Mayor, that was Steve's 5 minutes, not mine.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I know the
yeah.
blame on that.
Okay.
Steve's never been able to do it in 5 minutes.
That's okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, I think that would conclude the public forum, which moves us then into item 5, which is a public hearing And this public hearing is in regards to resolution number 180612 of the Town of Lake Lure Marine Commission amending the lake use regulations. Someone going to speak on this?
Did anybody sign up for the public hearing on it?
Anybody know what it
No.
is? All right, well, is there any public comment? And if there is not, then I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Weber, second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Cameron. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that moves us down into the consent agenda, only one item in the consent agenda, which is the minutes from the March 13th regular meeting of the Marine Commission. Are there any suggested, well, it's on the consent agenda, so we have not changed the consent agenda, so I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Kilby makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Weber, I believe.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Brings us down into new business, item number 7. And the first item, A, is the adoption of resolution number 180612 of the Town of Lake Lure Marine Commission, amending the lake regulations. There is a suggested motion to adopt this resolution, and Commissioners, we have that resolution in our agenda package under 7A. The presenter is Dean Gibbons. Dean, do you have anything you want to present? Other than the fact that we have a motion, we have a proposed resolution here.
I got a couple of corrections. Bottom of the first page, page 9, in our book, where it says if the permit is not purchased prior to April 15th, then the boat would be removed from the model. And then it says be subject for other businesses. We need to change that because it's the space that will be reallocated to other applicants, not the boat. And then on section 2, the next page, it's just a simple typo there in the section 2. Section 3, we're adding the word resort, and to that, those are the boats that were not allowed to tow. And then section 4, we're adding the dual permitting of boat is prohibited. There's also 2 appendices that were given to you on your table. There's a table of contents that shows the 2 appendices listed, and the actual 2 appendices are now attached. There's some administrative cleanup that needs to be done on those, but overall, the objective has been met with those 2 appendices, and I understand the LAB reviewed them with the resolution or the proposed amendments. These are the 2 that are talked about during the retreat. One, or they both have been addressed in the regulations requiring a Marine Commission approved boater safety class. There never was one designed. This is the outline, and they have now approved it, and I recommend we do so. I recommend we approve the entire resolution with some administrative adjustments.
Do we want to do that, and then just let the Lake Advisory Board come back with this discussion on these fishing boats?
Well, isn't our current policy dual permitting is not prohibited?
It is, it's only right here, it's written now.
No, but that's what was previously decided too.
Right. But I mean, we're just now putting it in writing.
Right.
So,
They're cleaning up the regulation by adding it, but it was previously decided when it was discussed that that was not permitted.
right, but
We're talking about one.
I got you.
You're talking about one.
just section 3, we just want to be sure they're going to address in the Lake Advisory Board.
Right. They're going to talk possible amendment to
Right.
section 3.
That's correct. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
Just clarifying.
yeah.
So is that your motion then?
My motion is
Commissioner
to
Weber, is to do
approve
that.
the proposed resolution with the modified table of contents.
And your minor
You got
changes?
some wording change on it.
Yeah,
The front page, yeah, that's what I said, approve it, but at the bottom of that, the space will be reallocated.
right, okay.
Okay.
All right,
Take the boat
so-
out of the model and-
So we have that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Cameron. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes.
Good job, Dean.
Next item
Thank you,
is
Dean.
item B under 7. This is a lake commercial license request for rental livery boat. Here is a suggested motion, and that is to go ahead and approve a 2018 lake commercial license for James Robinson for one motorized livery boat permit. So we have background on this. Again, Dean, you have any comment about this, other than it's your recommendation to go ahead and approve this?
Yes, sir.
Is this the LAB? Look, I remember this being on the agenda for Mr. Robinson. Is there any further discussion we need to have here amongst the commission?
Apparently, based on this application and our new item D coming up, is we amended the model in order to accommodate this application, did we not? Okay, all right. So I want to make sure I understood that. Got it?
Okay. All right, would I entertain a motion then, or somebody to make the motion to accept this?
I'll make a motion to approve to approve a 2018 lake commercial license for James Robinson for one motorized rental livery boat.
All right, motion by Commissioner Moore. A second?
I'll second.
Second
Go
by
ahead.
Commissioner Kilby. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Brings us to item C, under 7, new business, lake commercial license request for rental livery boat. This is suggested motion here, is to deny the request from Hunter Alexander for a 2018 lake commercial license for one motorized livery boat. Again, you have in your packet, under item C, the application, and the recommendation is to not approve this. Is there any discussion on this, Dean, as to why?
Reason being is he's an out-of-area business,
Mhm.
doesn't live in town, and Lake Advisory Board, just all is full. Mr. Hunter did send in an email, the packet, I don't know that it got in the regular packet.
I saw it,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay, and just want to let you know that that was in there also.
This is a situation that we're gonna be dealing with more until we get regulations for that. It's a person that is not a resident, has rented a slip, a private slip, and is renting his boat out, on the internet and stuff. That's the situation.
Okay.
So this is one of a few that 3 or 4 that we know of that the LAB's already discussed, it's gonna have to be dealt with.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we, to deny the request for a 2018 commercial license for Hunter Alexander for one motorized rental livery boat.
All right, yep. Motion by Commissioner Moore. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by,
So, so we
Commissioner
modified the
Cameron,
model, so we modified the model for the other one, and we couldn't do it for this one. Is there a reason we couldn't?
It just that it was an out-of-area business and felt that if the model's filling up, that we're using the remainder of the model. Local people or people who live in the city limits of Lake Lure.
This young man lives in California. Mr. Robinson
Lives in
has a
Georgia.
vacation rental with his house.
Got
He had purchased a permit last year, and he did not realize that had to be renewed every year. And so that's why we did it that way, why the LAB voted to grant him the permit, was because he had had one the previous year.
He had already, one of our biggest arguments was already been in the model before.
And Hunter Alexander had not been in the model and did not have a permit last year.
right.
Okay, understand,
Okay,
got it?
so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
If there are none, there is none, then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Brings us to our final new business item on the agenda, and this is to amend the commercial boat permit model. And again, this allows the additional commercial permit for Mr. Robinson. So you have in your packet a suggested motion to amend the permit model. Are there anyone who would like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right. So we have the recommended motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Cameron. All right, any further discussion? If there is none, a yes?
There
sir?
is, yes. I want to make sure I understand what we're doing.
Yep.
We took .5 from livery greater than 10 horsepower.
Correct.
Or no, we took 1.8 from livery less than 10 horsepower. Took .5 of that and added it to livery greater than 10 horsepower to make one spot, which is Robinson now filled, so that'll become 0. And we changed non-motorized from a 58 total to a 63. So that 1.3 that was left over that we took out equates to 5 non-motorized. That's what we did, right?
So what I've done
That's
is
what it adds up to.
the line right above it is livery less than 10 horsepower. It's showing 12.8 boats or
12.6,
yeah, I don't have glasses on.
yeah, and now it's 10.8.
1% out of the delivery less than 10, and I moved it into delivery above 10, which gave it a half a boat, which adds up to a whole boat. And
But non-motorized went from 58 to 63 on the model. The 2 pages you're showing us here is current and with revisions, non-motorized went from 58 to 63.
I'll have to go back and look at that, Steve. I didn't touch that category. I don't know.
But that's what you're asking us to approve is the revised model.
Right. Prove it without the non-motorized, because I didn't touch that category. It should not have moved. I don't know if I hit the wrong button or something like that, but that category should not have moved at all. It's not linked to the other.
Everything else came out right.
I'll just have to go back and check and see if that bottom line is moving when I hit the other one. I didn't pay no attention to it.
Okay. Then I recommend we amend the motion to approve the revised with the old number of 58 for non-motorized.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any
To
further?
amend, that's a motion to amend.
Motion to amend.
Right.
Okay, so then would the maker of the motion
I did.
accept
and-
the amendment?
And no, you vote on the amendment.
Second.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so all those in favor of the amendment, vote, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Now we can vote on the main motion. All those in favor of the main motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good. Okay, well, that concludes the business of the Marine Commission today, and that brings us to the final item on our agenda, which is adjournment. Is
I'll
there
make the motion.
there's Commissioner Cameron makes that motion. Who wants to second that?
No, I'm not.
All right, Commissioner Moore seconds that reluctantly. And so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're done. Thank you.
I'm not gonna let him get out of it.
Mark's got.